Right. Thanks so much for the time, the opportunity to be here and for you guys here on a Saturday. As was mentioned, I'm Arturo Loaiza-Bonilla, practicing medical oncologist in medical informatic bio. We're going to have a brief conversation today about how to leverage AI in this new era of technology and data, particularly around clinical trials. So you can find in FedEx as well, in other places to have an ongoing conversation. Some disclosures. So over the last several years, well, a couple of decades, we've seen a kind of an explosion of two major developments. One is the advent of big data, right? We have all of this electronic record information coming up, very hard to organize and synthesize, and people have already mentioned that for several years. And we also have the advent of genomics, right? We have now the ability to do NGS and having biomarker full genome sequencing for less than 100 or 200 bucks. Not only looking data from biomarkers such as IHC, which we have seen around, but also FISH and next generation sequencing, and all those many different data points that are becoming extremely challenging to organize in a meaningful way. As I mentioned earlier, now we can get $200 a piece, and we can, as we're getting lunch, we can actually get genome sequencing for all of us to a very reasonable price. And we understand that in cancer, every single patient should be profiled, right? So there's no doubt about it anymore. Everyone, that's the right thing to do for every single cancer patient. They should know the genome sequencing and omics of the cancer. And with that came also all these different new drugs that are coming. This is just for the last decade. There's every single mechanism of action possible and available in every single disease related to cancer. Just knowing this is becoming a very challenging situation because we are very smart, but keeping up with developments that are happening almost on a daily basis is one of those things that we need to help. We need to get help by. And add complexity to that, the dynamic changes that now we're seeing with circulating tumor DNA for patients on, when they get screened for cancer, now have the biomarker, and then they have a recurrence, and now there's a genomic dynamic changes that happen across. So how to keep up with all those things without, losing our minds? And there's solutions for that because now we got the opportunity to do so. On top of that, clinical trials are also becoming complex, right? So not only there's experimental trials that still to be adopted, but we have all these new designs. We have umbrella trials, like basket trials, all of them based on biomarkers, based on different diseases, and trying to get a patient comes well as a rare disease on its own, because that's the way of personalized medicine. And that's when we came about Massive Bio. So Celine and I, my co-founders over here, we tried to solve what we call the clinical trial enrollment paradox, which kind of solves this question. It was like, so there is about 12 million patients with cancer over the last decade, and less than 0.1% of them enroll in clinical trials. So there's like, okay, we know that's a challenge, but the problem is that half of the trial or more, they may close to it because they don't accrue patients, or they just take several extra months to just get enrolled, to all completed. That means that there was certainly a missing piece, right? Something that was patient-centric, that was able to solve the problem. When you have so many trials, you have 14 to 17,000 clinical trials active all the time, but we cannot enroll them even though there's millions of patients around. That means that there was a point that needed to connect. And on top of that, the FDA has been calling for inclusiveness for over almost 4 decades now. And diversity and inclusion is not just a name for it, it's important. We need to know the pharmacoeconomics, how patients respond to treatment, and to be representative for the population as a whole, right? I'm a Hispanic person myself. How is it possible that is less than 1% representation in clinical trials when it's the leading cause of death on top of cardiovascular disease, right? So that's something that we need to solve, and that digital tools can help us enable it. The problem is, most of cancer treatment is given in the community. So this is just the ASCO map. 85% of the patients are treated in the community-based setting. They're not treated in these big academic centers where we start patients with research, not because they cannot do it, it's because there's no one connected us to say, we can bring those trials to you, to decentralized trials, to biopic models, to just-in-time activation, and make things easier for everyone involved. So can we leverage AI for that? Of course, I have a lot of things to say about it. There's a paper that Integrative Oncology that you want to read it further, happy to take it from there with the time that we have. But the answer is yes. We can look for technological innovation. As we said, we can do clinical trial information available to patients with AI. we can try to change policy. I'm trying to work in that as well with the NCI and others, and the FDA, which actually is working with cancer and does that. And develop value-based models. So every single patient gets into this, pre-screening protocol funnels, where once the patient gets diagnosed with cancer, they can immediately go into those pre-screening funnels and follow them across the board. The same way you get an Uber or an Instacart, or the Amazon tells you that you're running out of a specific product because orders heavy so often, you need to have the credit score for information, and we can do it patient-centric. So with the new things happening, including ChatGPT and those technologies, we can start looking at really use the data and structure it appropriately, so we can get patients information in real time, because we don't have time. But these models, for example, this Llama model is able to do things at the level of a medical student, has all the USMLE tests, and now is passing the ASCO oncologist tests, is passing the ASCO test. Basically, they can be a full agent that is helping us to be the best physicians that we can using this technology at scale. There are some models, for example, the Colo model, this Coalition in Development Medicine AI, that show that we can actually structure data. We've been doing it before in the past with brute force and Massive Bio. Now we're doing it with the transformer technology to make sure that patients can get all this information from any source, fully structured and matched into all 7,000 clinical trials in real time. So we want to incorporate, lab data, clinical economics, and over time we want to incorporate, monitoring the medical images. So all of them can be a data warehouse. We probably have a lot of people trying to do some of that, but we are thinking we're going to do it in a collaborative approach. We don't want to do it on our own. We want to collaborate with everyone who's trying to do so to really make a difference and hopefully become a full agentic, right? We call it artificial, general intelligence, to be able to be the best clinical trial screening in the world. GPT-4 has given us some glimpses of that and of AGI, and you can read those papers, but we know the AI is able to tackle all the recurring themes in the various to access to enrolled. We developed a tool that is a cloud-based platform, flexible, plug and play. We can work with any pharma company, any sponsor, any diagnostic test company that has data, where we input all this level approach with prescription data, EMR, genomics, clinical trials data, of course, registry data from multiple sources, and we give the patient the opportunity and physicians for free to get access to their clinical trial information in real time. As I want any member of my family to know if there's a trial open, get an alert. If a patient wants to seek for an opinion instead of going to across the United States just to seek for a clinical trial, they can do it at the comfort of their place and still be treated by the community oncologist or the oncologist that they trust. And hopefully we can develop a model that now we can actually get the studies open and activated at the point of care. We use, of course, devices for this. So we have the AI clinical trial finder, where we're also incorporating additional chatbots for this. And we have tested this. So this is something that is presented in ASCO just this year, where we came with the Precision Cancer Consortium, which is a collaboration of multiple pharma companies that they give us their clinical trial information, and we match them to the data of patients that have gone to the platform, Massive Bio, which now comprises over 150,000 cancer patients actually on treatment that are ongoing in clinical trials. We're able to find that for 5,000 patients, we can do the work of matching all of them in an hour instead of 19,500 hours. And on top of that, no one have to do anything else. The physician can just sit in at home or at the office without having to do anything. They just get a report for them. When they show up in the office, they know exactly how they can get the patient's help internally and beyond, because we know our coordinators, they can be busy. This is helping them as well. And if what we find as well is that half of the patients were non-biomarker, tested completely. So if we did NGS testing on these patients, we doubled the number of clinical trials available to them, closer to home. They didn't have to move, and sometimes in their own institutions. So it's just telling us the potential of these platforms to really work. They have a chatbot that has my name, not because I want to have my name everywhere. This was actually the product team on my of the company, so it's not a vanity project, but it's a good chatbot to really help patients to understand clinical trials at the point of care. We have a platform called Clinical Network that you can install at your office, and the idea is really to solve the problems, bringing the science to where the patients are. So we can leverage AI to reduce the burden of practices that they're dealing with patients, that they need help, and focus on what really matters, which is them. We can work with pharma, which we're doing right now, to activate just-in-time networks and doing hybrid approaches for real-time activation for clinical trials in a very patient-centric approach, because every patient signs the consent. They actually get the ability to navigate all this data sources without any issue with privacy, because the patient is the one only in their journey. And we want to break all the silos. The silos is always the same thing. We are making it happen right now. Still, it doesn't want to do it with all of you. Without you and collaborations that we're doing with pharma, with sponsors, with specialty pharmacies, with many institutions, this would not be possible. And that's what we're working with CancerX, with American Cancer Society, with NCI, with NIH, and we're here talking to you. So what we want to do is to have us join us. Let's work together and find a way to really solve the clinical problem with paradox for all of our patients. Future, we can change and do it multimodal, as I mentioned, and it's up to us to change the future using AI at scale. Now we have the ability to do so. It's not a new idea, but now we're in a new era of making it happen because we have the right tools to do so. And I invite everyone to do this as well. You might have a conversation with me further. We have all these things. I have some podcast conversation. We have a column in Medscape called Practical AI, when you can post questions, so we can do post together if you want to. And also AI precision oncology, Sanjay, who's also here as we talk about Tempus, the platform. We're together in that editorial board, and we're happy to accept submissions or write papers together. And with that, I thank you. This is the Catalogue Especial, which is something that I always want to bring to my presentations, because it gives you, this is the first AI-based art piece, actually one word, but it also gives you this perspective of how we can open the field to the future by using AI, and beautiful things for all of us. Thank you.